Okay, we're about an hour late, but to be fair, I just set this call to start at 10 a.m., like on the spur of the moment anyway. So that's the reason why we're a tad bit late. Oh my God, are you ready? Fight TV. Exactly. Randomness. So, doesn't matter anymore. It just doesn't. Saturday morning. It is the day before Festivus, and we're going to talk about the nominations for the 2019 Critics' Choice Awards and the Screen Actors Guild Awards. Hello, fans and friends. My name is Owen. Joining me, as always, would be Ashley. And, of course, just for the award season, fresh off a very successful run of Speaking Bluntly, we have AJ.
Yes.
Exactly.
That's a perfect segue into the SAG Awards, by the way.
That's a shoot. Popcast Network is unofficially sponsored today by Cranberry Sprite. So, and if you're wondering why that's not on Sip and Snack and hasn't been, I'll shoot with you guys. I never did it because I already drank it way back when it first started, and that was before we had the segment. So that's the reason why. So welcome everyone to chat. We have some chat messages already to start us off before we get started. These are before we actually went live. Talking about Bry Guy says, basically the summary of these nominations, the Critics' Choice is way too predictable and the SAGs are interesting. And that's AJ's cue to say,
I'm in love with SAG.
There we go. Your wording was kind of in love with SAG.
Well, no, it's not even kind of. It's definitely.
Yes.
Considering how over here a parody of We Built This City on sausage rolls just got Christmas #1, I'm thinking of doing a parody of Roger Taylor's I'm in love with my car. Just from that line that you said, AJ, I'm in love with my sex.
Wow. That song has been relevant since 2005. Anyway, comedy
relevant to Bohemian Rhapsody.
Oh boy.
Somehow.
No, I like American movie classics now. The thing is, Bry Guy also wants to state the fact that Audrey Geisel passed away last night at the age of 97. So I want to talk about that a little bit before we get started. Especially with The Grinch being out in theaters now.
And weirdly nominated here.
Yeah. Don't know if that's going to stick.
No, they ran out of ideas, I guarantee it.
That's how it works in the animated category. And apparently, Mr. Top Hat said she hated the Cat in the Hat movie from 2003 versus on this network so much that she banned anyone from making another live-action Dr. Seuss movie. I wonder if that's going to stay in place now.
Let's hope.
I'm trying to think if there's any more Dr. Seuss properties that are in development now.
Apparently, Bry Guy states there is a Warner Brothers animated Cat in the Hat movie coming too.
Are we just trying to paint over the cracks that were Carey's Grinch then and Mike Myers' Cat in the Hat?
So far, they're doing a poor job.
Penguins.
Well,
I'm triggered already, like twice in this video, and we haven't even started yet.
Well, at least Warner Brothers isn't Illumination, so there's that.
I'm sorry, I just glanced over at AJ for a second as I was looking at the chat, and I realized that AJ bears a striking resemblance, speaking of the Grinch, to Doctor Strange right now.
In what way?
Just at first glance, with like the outfit and the hoodie and everything, and like the red and stuff. And bear with me, gentlemen and ladies out there. I have not really slept very well, so needless to say,
my hands were shaking yesterday, so there's that.
There we go. So yeah, you'll see my really crappy camera. As you can tell right now, I'm using the same god-awful laptop camera pointing at you guys right now as I'm looking in the screens. It's horrible. Anyway, but of course, this is not a visual podcast. It never has been. Bry Guy says, speaking of animated films based on the Wikipedia page, there's supposed to be 7 sequels for this upcoming year for animated films. Talking about the Lego movie, How to Overrate Your Dragon. That joke still stands. Shaun the Sheep, Secret Life of Pets, Toy Story, and the Angry Birds movie, as well as Frozen.
Oh, wow! I didn't even realize the Angry Birds sequel was. I thought it was 2020, but
And Brad Guy mentioned the only non-sequel animated films that are slated for next year: Wonder Park, Missing Link, Ugly Dolls, Abominable, Playmobil the movie, and The Addams Family.
oh god, Playmobil the movie, that trailer, Jesus Christ!
Top Hat says, "I'll defend 2003 Cat in the Hat until the day I die." AJ's got a video for you to watch. AJ, what was its opponent? Do you remember?
The Grinch.
Yes, I thought so. And yes, Frog Guy wants to bring up the obvious here. And a Mary Poppins Returns poster for AJ's wall.
Hell yeah.
Of course. But yes, Chad is now completely covered, and now it's time, very, very safe. Now it's time for, let's get into the nomination, shall we? And I will state something right off the top. Your Golden Globes, since it's coming up in like less than 2 weeks, Golden Globes Predictions Popcast is actually going to be coming next week. So stay tuned for that. Probably going to do it the day, probably do it next Sunday, actually. Don't know what time. Stay tuned to the Twitter for it. More information. But yeah, it's probably going to be a week before the actual ceremony itself, which means the start of AJ and I's annual Let's Eat All the Foods for awards season time. I point a lot as I'm watching the screen. So let's get started. Usually we do a state of the race when it comes to Oscar predictions. I think we're just going to delve right into it. So let's jump into the Screen Actors Guild Awards and go into something that Ashley has a little bit more of a stake in than we do, and that's television.
It is interesting when you look at it because there's a lot of people in the SAGs that didn't even make it for the Globes.
Isn't that usually how it goes, though?
There was a bit more similarity between the two last year.
Mm-hmm.
But when when you see that Emma Stone's actually in for Maniac, we seem to get snubbed by the Globes.
But which is kind of bullshit because they still snub Jonah Hill again.
Again?
Yeah, but you got to put Anthony Hopkins in, you see, for King Lear. Which is a good performance, but it's just like it's weird because it's sort of like, I get it's a television movie, but it sort of has the scale of being a movie. It's just they didn't release it in cinemas. Then Ozark also getting a lot of recognition when it didn't. I don't think it got anything in the Globes. From what I remember, have a quick look at the wiki.
That show will definitely be coming soon.
Jason Bateman got an actor nod, but it didn't get anything for show or anything. But both Laura Linney and Junior Garner got nominated for Best Actress in a Drama. But then again, considering you're up against Elizabeth Moss and Sandra Oh, and also Robin Wright, because it's on popularity rather than... Robin Wright actually wasn't nominated either. They don't... Apparently, actors don't like Outlander.
My mom does, if that makes sense.
Also, Krasinski got in for Jack Ryan, which, considering how that was well received, I'm surprised that didn't get anything, at least in terms of Globes, but it did get in there, and I think probably in for stunt performances. Yeah.
The thing I'm looking at, whoever typed up what I'm looking at, somebody really had it out for Krasinski. Because apart from putting an E in Olivia Colman, there are no typos on this entire list except for John Krasinski for Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan.
Tom Clandy. I'm sure that actually sounds like a Coen Brothers side character.
Well, the D is next to the C. In all respects,
Clandy.
It's not like they went to the other side of the keyboard.
So
It's not like Tom Clampy.
Oh God. No, that sounds like a Simon Pegg character. Spelled THOM, like Tom York and Radiohead. What's with this podcast triggering me left and right today? It's like 2005 is like attacking me left and right today. I don't like it.
But
so Jeff Bridges is the Cecil B. DeMille Award recipient this year. Well deserved.
Mm-hmm.
And Carol Burnett has her own award this year, which is cool.
Which I think that's perfect timing, considering I believe the home media release of Bad Times at the OR was that same week, give or take.
Yeah, it's January 1st.
There you go.
Which confirmation today, looking at my schedule, Wrestle Kingdom is a day I actually have off of work. Keep that in mind, Ashley.
True, but I'm sort of just annoyed because forgotten what I was annoyed about. Oh, I've only just woken up.
The return of Bobcat Goldthwait promo before too long. And Alan Alja is this year's Lifetime Achievement Award recipient. Megan Mullally will be the host for the SAGs. Okay, sure. That's relevant. It is NBC after all.
No,
I might as well mention it here. I might as well mention it here as well because we didn't when we did the reaction to the Globes, but they actually announced that the
CBS
TV Lifetime Achievement thing's going to Carol Burnett, who it's being named after.
Yep. You can tell Ashley's just getting away because we mentioned it like a few minutes ago.
Yeah. Oh, and I ain't got coffee.
What's coffee? Bry Guy says January 1st is his 19th birthday. Happy birthday, Bry Guy.
I'll do that next week.
January 1st.
You'll remind us again.
January 1st, I'll be working at 8 a.m. So there you go.
Yeah, with the ensembles for drama, you've got Americans, Better Call Saul, Handmaid's Tale, Ozark, and This Is Us. For comedy, you've got Atlanta, Barry, Glow, Kaminsky Method, and Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. And then for the stunts, Glow, Daredevil, Jack Ryan, Walking Dead, and Westworld. The great thing is if Daredevil wins it, and it's like, thanks, Netflix. Shakes hand. Old man yells at Cloud.
Sort of like the possibility of wouldn't it be interesting if the Americans wins drama series, given that Kerry Russell and Matthew Reese are not here?
I guess they're just not popular with the actors. Because that's always the interesting thing, because I believe the Actors Guild is like the biggest group that does the voting in the Oscars.
Yeah, I've heard something like that.
So this sort of gives you somewhat of a view as to whoever basically wins these automatically has to be considered a favorite because of the amount of people, the percentage of people voting when it actually comes to the Academy. So
yeah, a combination of this and BAFTA is pretty much, yeah.
So it was an interesting sign, but yeah, that's the TV stuff. I mean, I think there's Critics' Choice TV Awards, maybe, because they don't put them in the same section anymore. They split it off.
Mm.
So I might see if I can find if there's anything there that isn't on the other lists. Critics' Choice Television Awards. They do them on the same. They do them on the same time, so it's just confusing. So,
Bry Guy stated, "If Beale Street could talk, God F all." Yeah. I noticed that was a glaring omission, and so was another thing too. Unless you're
Wow. I'm looking at the Critics' Choice TV Awards. Somehow Jesus Christ Superstar Live in Concert is up for Best TV Movie. Okay. Oh, I didn't realize King Lear was Amazon because it was just over here on the UK on BBC, which is like, okay. Very English Scandals Amazon. I think BBC is just doing a shit ton of shows of Amazon by the looks of it. Americans was in for Best Drama Series for the Critics' Choice. Oh my God, Schitt's Creek on Pop is actually up for Best Comedy Series.
I mean,
again,
come
we
on,
can't
it's
make the
Catherine
joke.
O'Hara and Eugene Levy. What do you expect?
No, but we can't make the joke about Pop anymore because Impact's going to some sort of hunting channel. But there you go.
Yeah, we'll talk about that this week.
Simpsons and South Park made it into Best Animated Series, although it probably should go to Adventure Time because it's not going to be around for much longer. Just seeing Jim Parsons somehow made it in for Best Actor. Of course he did. Oh, and Alison Janney from Mom. Rita Moreno for Best Supporting Actress. Should we just give her it? The Critics' Choice actually recognised that Jodie Comer exists because she got nominated for Killing Eve. I'm pleased about that. Also, Julia Roberts for Homecoming, which actually I don't think got in SAG. Yeah. She got snubbed by SAG, which is interesting. John Legend gets nominated for Jesus Christ Superstar, as does Brandon Victor Dixon for Jesus and Judas. Apparently, in the movie and limited series stuff, but then you're going up against Benicio del Toro and Hugh Grant and Antonio Banderas and Darren Criss for the American Crime Story Versace thing.
Are we talking about a show we're not even covering right now?
Well, I Chris is up in the Globes.
We're not.
Whatever. It's the Critics' Choice TV Awards because they'll announce it at the same time as the movie stuff. We'll probably mention it and whatever. Yeah, I wouldn't say that there's less snubs seemingly in the Critics' Choice than there is in SAG or the Globes overall.
All right. So, do we have any more to say about the Critics' Choice Awards television before we move on to movies?
No. Oh, and that's where the Americans nominations is for Kerry Russell and Matthew Reese. That's where I was checking. They made it in the Critics' Choice. The actors are just like, we don't care about your shitty show. They're just prejudiced.
All right. So, let's go on to the movies, shall we?
Well, obviously, the first thing we want to point out is the Regina King snub.
Yeah.
That nobody saw coming, but
in TV as well, I noticed.
But
I just don't like her either.
I do think she's going to be fine, though, especially since, obviously, One for a Quiet Place is kind of a random choice, much as I love it.
Mm.
I do think this means that Margot Robbie is really going for that fifth spot. Like, I'm kind of almost entirely off the Kidman thing now, I think.
Which sucks because I had Margot Robbie going in and I got convinced to take her out, and now I'm going to regret it.
Yeah, I think I had her the first couple of times we did it, and then I dropped Mary Queen of Scots entirely from the top 8.
Same.
But I think she's really gunning for that fifth spot now, because I'm pretty sure with Margot Robbie and Blunt, like, kind of surprising at SAG. I think Regina King is going to be fine in the long run, especially since she just took a bunch more critics wins recently. So her momentum is still going, even if it's not as on the radar.
Is it surprising though, or is she just becoming the next Meryl Streep / Jennifer Lawrence? As in, we'll give her a nomination. this year.
Are we talking about Margot Robbie or?
Yeah. It seems like she's angling towards that because I don't think she really got a push 2 years ago. I can't remember what big film that would have been out that. Oh, wasn't there that cowboy one? That was slated to possibly be a contender and then nothing came of it. I don't even remember. Where's the filmography?
Some cowboy movie?
Yeah, Z for Zachariah.
Oh yeah.
That was lauded as possibly being a contender and then just went to nothing. To be honest, because of her stupid voice in Goodbye Christopher Robin and Peter Rabbit, I can't take her seriously. But then she's going to be Sharon Tate in a Tarantino film. So,
of course, obviously, her last nomination is the reason I can't take her seriously. But let's not open up that wound.
Mary Queen of Scots, because technically that is her last nomination.
I'm Oscar nomination.
All right.
Oh my God. Mr. Top Hat says, so many snubs. The Screen Actors Guild are really sagging on this one. Ah ha ha. I'll wait in the car.
Yeah. You wait in the car. I need to go get a drink. Something hard. Damn it.
I think Mr. Top Hat says, I think Amy Adams fills that role instead.
What about Amy Adams?
I think we're talking about the response of what we're discussing about Margot Robbie. But the thing is, I think just by judging the trailer that I've seen for Vice, I think Amy Adams probably belongs here.
I think with Regina King getting snubbed here, I think Adams just took the front runner status.
That's what it looks like. So, I mean, we've got some interesting things to move into. But, I mean, I think since Ashley's getting a drink right now, we're going to talk about, real quick, the Ballad of Buster Scruggs and Stunt Ensemble. Can we elaborate on this a little bit?
Stunt ensemble is always a confusing category to me because I'm having a hard time figuring out what they go by.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's true. Bry Guy says, especially she hasn't won an Oscar yet, but Vice is not an ensemble.
Well, ensemble got really weird, so I don't think that matters.
True. But yeah, judging by, I mean,
the favorite didn't get an ensemble.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's
it went everywhere else, but didn't get ensemble. So because we had to make room for Crazy Rich Asians, apparently.
Bohemian Rhapsody is probably the weirder choice.
I think it's a little bit more in there than people think it is.
Oh, you mean after getting a picture nomination at the Globes, too? This is where I know we're getting a bit ahead of ourselves, but it's like that Rami Malek doubt that I was having about the movie's reputation and all that.
Nope.
Yeah, I think somebody just got super, super safe.
I completely agree. Brad Guy also talking about Green Book not being an ensemble as well.
Yeah.
That's a fair point. Nocturnal Animals got in, so I mean, maybe the Ballad of Buster Scruggs actually makes sense in the long run. I guess we'll see. Yeah, I was just wondering about that because it just sticks out like a sore thumb. I was like, born. Buster Scruggs? What? Question mark. It does warm my heart to see that Andrew Dice Clay is a part of a potential Oscar-winning ensemble. Being a lifelong comedy fan. So let's go into. Do you want to go into actual cast, go into ensemble here? I mean, it's an interesting 5. One, to me, well, it's not because I haven't seen the movie. It's because it sticks out like a sore thumb to me. Why is Black Panther here?
Well, I was just getting ready to say, I've been denying the idea of Black Panther getting a picture nomination all year.
Same, and I don't know anymore.
Even though I'm really falling behind, it's like, you know what? Maybe Black Panther might be getting a picture nomination.
Yeah.
Because in some cases, like Crazy Rich Asians and Bohemian Rhapsody, sometimes there's obviously just weird choices, but then there's choices like Black Panther being here where it's like, there's a good chance that means a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't know that I'm like completely sold on the idea, but obviously I've still got a couple weeks to figure that out, but still.
I mean, there's a time I'm going to have to sit down and actually watch this thing to find out what the big hoopla is about. Ashley's back. Makes me think if this is going to set a precedent, does that mean that Infinity War is actually going to run for Best Picture? Nope. No Avengers Endgame. Sorry. Not going to run for picture.
Let's see how it does. You know, because I honestly didn't think Black Panther would be the monolith that it was.
I don't know why.
Once again, I don't mean to brag about anything, but you realize what else is like totally completely missing here, right? That seemed tailor-made to at least get in ensemble.
I don't know why it's not here. And it makes me look like an idiot. Greatly. No Widows.
Widows got snubbed completely.
Yep.
Yeah. But then, interestingly, the other way around, there it is. Managed to get it through the history by just searching London. With the London Film Critics Circle, they announced their nominations on Tuesday. And the big thing out of that, Vice only got 2 nods. For Christian Bale, because they do actor and then British actor, and same with actress and same with the films. But Green Book got snubbed, and so did A Star Is Born. They got absolutely nothing, yet First Man got 4 nominations, and Widows got 4 as well. So
I think First Man is still a little bit more solid than people think it is. It's not like solid as in, okay, for example, it's the Ghirardelli chocolate square that I have in my apartment right now at room temperature versus it being in the refrigerator. So right now, I think it's the one at room temperature, not the one in the refrigerator. These are the things I think about late at night when I'm home alone and the power goes out. So there you go.
You want to make that a little easier for you?
Go ahead.
First Man will get in at PGA and it'll be fine.
That'll work. I'm good with that. Only place Widows has its last chance is BAFTA. That's what Brad Guy says. Top Hat says the Widows train is dying out. Yeah, I don't think there's enough
It's
grease on the rails right now.
It's jumping ahead, but may I also mention I'm pretty sure there are 7 actress nominees at the Critics' Choice, and Viola Davis isn't one of them.
yeah.
Maybe Widows peaked too early. It's possible. It's always a movie every single year that has great going into the actual award ceremony. And then when we actually start getting to award ceremony, it just completely gets pushed out. Widows could be that movie this year. It's possible. Considering Selma was only nominated for Best Song and Best Picture, First Man still has a fighting chance. So you're saying that First Man this year is James Ellsworth. Congratulations.
Well, First Man will probably have plenty of text behind it.
I'm sure it will, actually.
Like both sounds, probably visual effects, and probably a few.
Is this where I need to bring up my predictions chart, because they shortlisted some of the shortlists, didn't they?
That's coming. We're working into that.
Yeah, First Man is currently shortlisted for score and visual effects.
I could see it getting potentially both.
Yeah, but it's going up against Isle of Dogs in score, so you're wrong. The day bandwagon has begun.
It wouldn't surprise me. I'm okay with that.
Although I guess the big surprise in score, because I'm amazed it actually got recognition, they actually they've put in, well, I should say they're given a nomination, but they've put it in the shortlist, Annihilation. Apparently somebody realizes that movie actually exists. It's a pleasant surprise. Also, I just randomly like Ballad of Buster Scruggs getting in for stunt ensemble.
Yep.
Just randomly.
We brought that up while you were gone, actually.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. It seems an interesting list, at least with the SAGs.
yeah. I mean, I just got 3 words for you right now, and AJ is going to be able to smile on this one. John David Washington.
Again.
My God. But Black Klansman is a lot bigger threat than people think it is.
Well,
except for people on this network, obviously, because we've been saying
it
that
didn't.
for a while now.
Keep in mind, it didn't make it in Critics' Choice.
Yeah, but that doesn't necessarily mean that much, though.
Yeah, Adam Driver did.
But what I do love, though, as much as I love that John David Washington is basically Black Klansman overperforming, I think it's pretty obvious who I think is going to be in his place.
Yeah.
So I'm not like jumping on that train or anything, but just the fact that he's here shows the strength of Black Klansman as a whole, which is amazing.
And Black Klansman is in the 10th for Best Picture anyway with the critics, so.
That's pretty much a foregone conclusion at this point. I mean,
with stuff like Vice and The Favorite and Green Book missing an ensemble, I also think it's really showing a love for the fact that Black Klansman was able to make it into ensemble.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you look at the Big Four and SAG, there's not many surprises whatsoever. There's people that were on the radar and on the cusp, but it seems like everybody makes sense. And I may have to finally jump on the Melissa McCarthy train, finally.
I'm a little worried about supporting actor.
I wouldn't be.
These are the 5 I've been going with for like at least the last couple of months. And the last time we did the prediction video, I think I said I was worried that it was too easy.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I still feel really good about it. So I honestly don't see my mind changing that that's the 5 for supporting actor.
And it's it's the same 5 in the Critics' Choice as well, except they've added in as the 6 Michael B. Jordan for Black Panther.
Which is interesting. It's not Rockwell.
I put Rockwell in there before Jordan, but that's just, again, I haven't seen the movie. I can't justify the performance. I can't justify either one of them.
The thing, though, is if Rockwell is going to knock off any of these 5, because I imagine Globes will be making people think this, but if Rockwell's going to knock out any of these 5, I don't think it's Sam Elliott. I think Sam Elliott's like totally safe.
He's in.
So it's going to have to be like some random sub. Like I think Ashley said something about having some doubt in Chalamet.
A lot of people did, but it's just like, I think he's in.
From when they did the screening that I went to, from the group that I'm in, where we try and work out what the mystery screenings are, there was a lot of people saying that they felt it was a little sort of, they were good performances, but the film was a little overrated. And that it was a little too sort of like the music cues were just sort of like, guess what? This impending doom's about to happen. Listen to the music. Stuff like that. A lot of people also, interestingly, thought that Carell was miscast.
Well, we can talk about Carell. Actually, it's a nice little segue. Bry Guy says the Welcome to Marwin train is dead for me, and Top Hat says it might get visual effects.
Yeah, I'd keep an eye on the
Yeah,
visual effects at least.
Marwin is in for visual effects at the minute.
Carell had a lot of possibility to get another nomination as a Foxcatcher, but he's not getting in. There's no room for him.
Yeah.
There's literally no room for Carell this year. It's not possible.
I mean, Malik's getting in.
Yeah, he is.
Despite the troubled issues of that production, I still question why they should have put Bryan Singer as director. I know they had to because of the rules and everything, but yeah, it's like every trailer I now see that has a Kevin Hart in it. I'm going, this is the best time to be showing this, considering it came out with all this shit, and people are still laughing at it. It's like, and
we've been ahead of the curve for years. Don't forget that. Chalamet might miss a BAFTA, is what Bry Guy says.
Keep in mind, there'll always be one or two with BAFTA which will go. I mean, if anything, that's where Kaluuya could get in for Widows.
That's what I'm thinking.
I think BAFTA's going to really like Widows.
We're going to go like totally random, like that time they nominated Jim Broadbent for the Iron Lady.
Yes.
Trying to see if there's. I had a thing where I could actually look at the. There we go.
No surprises here. I mean, when it comes to the top four at this point, I'm kind of the one that AJ I'm sure is very excited about is something he alluded to earlier. The fact that Blunt got in for leading, and supporting.
I do think that Yalitza could still totally surprise at her expense. But yeah, just like I'm kind of feel about Yalitza the same way I feel about Ethan Hawke, where it's like both of them could get in with no other major nominations behind them.
Oh, I just noticed Widows actually made it in for acting ensemble on the Critics' Choice.
It's actually getting all critic wins in that category.
That makes sense.
Despite not being nominated anywhere else. Also just noticed that with The Guardian and their compilation of film critics, both the US and the UK list went to Roma. So I think there's a lot of momentum behind that. Although, interestingly, I think in the third in the UK list and second in the US list was Leave No Trace. So whether that still has a chance of making it in possibly for screenplay or something, let's hope. It did get in for young actress for Thomasin McKenzie in the Critics' Choice. But then going up against Elsie Fisher for 8th Grade, and to some extent Amanda Stenberg for The Hate You Give, which I know has been divisive in some places. It's not a gimme, that category.
So yeah, surprising. Well, I'm actually kind of surprising to get Margot Robbie back into this race too. A lot of people have completely counted out, including us, Mary Queen of Scots.
I was going to mention, I forgot until Ashley brought it up again, the adapted screenplay category, where we were talking about what ensemble means for these nominees at SAG.
Right.
And it's like when I was saying how anything could be the 5th spot in adapted screenplay, and I went with Leave No Trace, but we brought up like The Hate You Give before and other random things.
Right.
I completely forgot about the movie I initially put there, like the first time we did this. I suppose Crazy Rich Asians is also really possible.
Could be.
So as far as the whole, it seems like an obvious choice for ensemble, interestingly enough, as far as getting nominated at SAG. But if this is going to like help other things, like how I was saying, Bohemian Rhapsody getting in here pretty much practically solidifies Rami Malek at this point.
Oh yeah,
This could propel Crazy Rich Asians in a category like that if it really wanted to.
it's possible.
So, yeah, I think that'll have to be back in consideration.
I was reading
Also,
something.
I noticed as well that all 5 Critics' Choice for foreign language are all in the 9 or 10 film shortlist for the Oscars. So, surprisingly, the Critics' Choice might have got the 5 or at least 4 of the 5, considering the momentum there is behind Burning, Cold War, Roma, and Shoplifters, and to some extent Capernaum. But that could be the one that could be switched out for whatever they want to.
But then there's always a possibility of a force majeure happening again too. Foreign is slowly becoming documentary. Like the front runner is never safe. I mean, obviously, in foreign this year, Roma is safe, but you get it.
Right Guy says Carell could have got a surprise nomination for The Big Short and then campaign with Last Flag Flying. And Mr. Top Hat says Hugh Grant for Paddington 2. Baby.
When did it happen that every role Steve Carell has now is Beatty?
That's a good question.
Probably, probably it was probably Mark. The weird thing is, I just realised because I saw it on TV last Saturday. Bloody Carell's character in The Big Short is named Burt Mark, which scared the shit out of me. Yeah, in all honesty, it probably was with Big Short because that was 2016, 2017, right?
It was 2015, which would have been the Oscar year of 2016.
Okay. Right. So there was a bit of a gap because I noticed last year he had Battle of the Sexes as well as Last Flag Flying. And then I guess it's just the luck of the draw, if you want to call it that, with Beautiful Boy, Vice, and Welcome to Marwen all coming out at the same time.
I just realized it may be a bit telling that he didn't do anything, especially here, since I'm pretty sure SAG nominated him last year for Battle of the Sexes, did they not? In the wrong category, but still.
Yeah.
Which was totally deserved, that nomination.
I completely forgot that Steve Carell did the commentator voice in Outlaw Golf and Outlaw Volleyball, the bloody game.
Right Guy mentions the death of Stalin. And the reviews for Capernaum are all right.
If you guys are saying this for Paddington 2 and Death of Stalin, problem, guys, they came out last year for us. So they aren't going to be in the BAFTA race. Because American wacky releases, that might honestly be the opposite way round for 8th grade, depending how that gets received over here next April.
So, Never Look Away, the Germany film, is 3 hours and 9 minutes.
That's not bad. I'm trying to remember what it's called. I didn't go to it because they had a preview screening of I think it was called The Little Pear Tree. I think it's a foreign film. The Wild Pear Tree. That I think is like Godfather length, like 100 and Turkish. Didn't get nominated. It was selected as a Turkish entry. Yeah, 188 minutes.
So good. Nominate them again, says Mr. Top Hat.
We can't. Well, technically, okay, it came out the same year, so you can't really make the comparison. But if Deadpool 2 came out last year and then Once Upon a Deadpool came out this year, could you technically nominate it twice in a row? I guess you could, because they are two separate entities, sort of.
Wouldn't that be the same? Wouldn't that be similar to the Apocalypse Now redo having been eligible in 2001, which I'm pretty sure wasn't the case.
I can't even remember.
I'm gonna doubt it.
Bry Guy said The Lobster was nominated at the 2015 BAFTAs and got in for original screenplay in 2016.
Oh yeah, trust me, it happens a lot. Yeah.
Okay. Let's get into Critics' Choice, shall we?
Oh, one more thing about SAG and kind of the surprise John David Washington.
Mm-hmm.
At the very last second there, like right before SAG came out, was anybody kind of half expecting Willem Dafoe?
Who wasn't on my radar, but I see where you're coming from.
Who does come back for Critics' Choice also. Yeah, I think that's just kind of me also going crazy about John David Washington even more, because it's like knowing all the possibilities there were just shows the love.
Mm.
And yeah, obviously, people can dismiss that as maybe it's just leftover Denzel love, but I like to think it's a lot more momentum for Black Klansman, more than we even thought.
Guys, I'm going to have to head out early because I need to do my shopping because I woke up bloody late for this. So...
All right.
Yeah, sorry. Overall, I think the list for the critics looks strong, in all honesty. Nice to see a few mentions in there for films that I think are getting snubbed elsewhere. Whether the momentum can be built from that, we'll see. I guess I'll be on next week for the awards prediction, so I'll head out, guys, let you talk about it. I have to catch up on the tubes of you and all that. So,
right.
See you next week. Finger me Bob, Booty Be Boo, Merry Festivus, whatever things, blah, bye.
Random.
So yeah, about obviously there's like a lot of openings because the leading categories of Critics' Choice have like 7 slots.
Yeah.
But like I said, they go for stuff like Toni Collette as opposed to stuff like Viola Davis. And Toni Collette shitload of critics wins recently. Her and Ethan Hawke.
I think one's in and one's not.
A lot of people really want Toni Collette to happen. I don't think it's going to, especially since I've got Yalitza still in the back of my head. Even though, well, yeah, she is a Critics' Choice. Yalitza is, so...
Depends on how much they go for Roma.
Yeah, did you want to go in a particular order, or are we just bouncing around?
We're going to bounce around. Top Hat says Best Actor is becoming a tight race in these last few months. And bye, Ashley. Yeah, well, he's gone.
I think Best Actor's kind of always been tight.
Yeah, I mean, there's no room for anybody else to sneak in at this point. There's no surprise coming. These are all people that are definitely on the radar. There's no way anybody could just slide in at the very last minute and just take one of the coveted 5 spots at this point, because everybody is actually in this race. That's in this race right now. I can't see anybody else sliding in.
That's interesting. Critics' Choice went the opposite route with Kidman, where when the Globes went with Destroyer instead of Boy Erased, the Critics' Choice went Boy Erased instead of Destroyer.
Right. Okay, it's interesting. RBG is nominated here for Best Song for I'll Fight when they have their own documentary award show. Yeah, but didn't they have that random song that was Scarlett Johansson a couple years ago? That was a documentary song too.
Was that the ice thing or whatever?
Yeah, Chasing Ice.
Well, I'm pretty sure All Flight also got shortlisted Oscar-wise, so it's like really in this. And like I said, when I saw RBG, as soon as I started hearing the song and saw in the credits that it was Jennifer Hudson, I was like, oh, well, that's probably in.
Makes sense. Bry Guy says I'm still against with Glenn Close not getting in. A lot of people, I actually read something the other day that said that Glenn Close could miss at the last minute. That could be a
I used to say that all the time, and when I was talking about when you look at the SAG nominees, if Yalitza should get in, I figure it'll be at the expense of Blunt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it could totally be at the expense of Glenn Close too.
Because I'll tell you right now, I think Blunt gets the BAFTA and puts her in the running completely, and Close may miss.
Blunt could also be a Tilda Swinton type.
Yeah, that's true.
Remember, I gotta go completely against what I really want.
I know.
Because disappointment will happen. And it's like, how many times she could have been nominated by this point, it still kind of feels too good to be true to me.
Fair.
So I'm still thinking, like, any of these people that come in at the last minute, I'm afraid she'll be the one that gets knocked out. But obviously Glenn Close feels vulnerable also.
Very much so. But a song is a song.
I don't imagine they'll do anything crazy. Because when we were talking about somebody potentially getting knocked out of supporting actor if it looks too obvious, like a little tiny thing in the back of my head said, what if Richard E. Grant is like this whole, gets all this attention, gets all these critic wins, and then just doesn't make it? That shit has happened.
Well, that would match my prediction, so I wouldn't have an issue with that.
That actually the biggest comparison, if that were to happen, will probably be when Daniel Bruhl was supposedly in for Rush.
Oh, yeah.
That seemed like a certainty at the time.
Yeah, it did. I remember we were doing the prediction, the reaction video, and that was one of the things that really caught us off guard.
But the thing is I think we somewhat talked about this, but it's something I've really been thinking about a lot lately, and that is the other interesting thing, if Grant should be like this surprise snub, is the fact that Grant looks like a potential winner right now.
Could.
It's basically him and Ali, I think. And the more, obviously, critic wins don't necessarily mean anything because you can win a whole bunch of critics awards and get snubbed entirely. But
definitely,
keeping him on the radar, he's winning a lot of them. Then again, Albert Brooks won quite a few for Drive, and we saw how that went. So, unfortunately.
Yeah, no lie. Bry Guy says a song along with a song from Quincy. Matt Top Hat says Mad at Ashes from Deadpool 2 that did make the short list. Shake my head at you, sir.
Yeah, I'm not exactly complaining, but
Idris Elba and Hugh Grant. Fair. So, as we move on, let's go to Best Foreign Language. We pretty much just said right away that the 5 that we have for Critics' Choice are pretty much, most of them are locked at this point. But like you said,
as I was talking about supporting actor, though, with foreign, it's definitely scary if it seems too easy.
Yep. I mean, for me, Roma has a chance to lose both Best Foreign Language and Best Picture in the same night. And I think it very well could happen.
Do you know what's been a common theme in Critics Awards? Is people splitting whether they give Cuarón cinematography or director.
Mm-hmm.
There's quite a few that seem to not want to give him both, which I find really interesting.
Interesting. Best song, we mentioned I'll Fight a little bit ago from RBG. All the Stars from Black Panther, Girl in the Movies from Dumplin', Place Where the Lost Things Go from Mary Poppins Returns, Shallow, of course, and Triple O Light, fantastic. I think Shallow's pretty safe here, honestly.
Yeah, there's something that I can never remember, and hopefully somebody knows this off the top of their head. What exactly are the song rules now in regards to more than one for one movie? Because I was thinking they did away with it entirely, but then I'm pretty sure there was like a case of 2 for 1 recently. But I don't know. Those rules, like, I don't know if they just keep changing or if they're vague or what, but because I think it was after the whole Enchanted thing.
Yep.
They decided we'll just limit it, which I think is also what happened when that weird case where we got only 2 nominees for 2011 with the Muppets and Rio. So, yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I think it's pretty obvious what we've got at this point. But I mean, we'll see. There's always a surprise nomination in Best Original Song that you're not expecting. I could see that happening this time around too.
Usually, sometimes I get too ambitious with that, and it ends up being easier than we realize.
Accurate.
You know what? All Fight is giving me vibes of?
What's that?
The song from Marshall last year.
Oh yeah. Top Hat says up to 3 can be selected for consideration for each movie, but up to 2 can be actually be nominated.
That makes sense.
All right, that's good.
So if they really want to, okay, so both those Poppin' songs could be there.
Oh yeah, totally. And I think that's probably a good bet.
I really don't want Dumplin' to be an Oscar-nominated movie.
I don't think it's gonna happen, but you never know.
I don't know. It's Dolly Parton, dude.
I know it is.
Remember, they go for the recognizable faces. It turns out Ashley always said that, and I never quite believed him. But when Justin Timberlake got in for Trolls, it was like, oh, yep, that is the case. Okay.
Well, the thing is, you're not going to miss an opportunity to have Dolly Parton on the Oscar stage performing with a single spotlight this song. I would not be shocked at all. Not one bit. I've not seen the movie, but I can honestly guarantee that a lot more undeserving nominations could have happened in Best Original Song. So, Best Score. I mean, no real shocks here. I mean, again, I always discount Black Panther, but I mean, from what I'm hearing, the music's very much a big part of it, so it makes sense.
Yeah, I'm terrible with like remembering scores. So most of these I look at and it's like I don't really. Well, First Man's I kind of remember.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's Hurwitz. What do you expect?
But like something like Green Book, like obviously I haven't seen Green Book, but it's like all I can imagine is just some generic inspirational score. Maybe it's better than that, but I don't know.
And you have Desplat again, which I mean might be the only award Isle of Dogs has a shot at winning. I guess we'll see.
Animated's pretty up in the air.
Right.
Yeah, somebody in the chat recently mentioned the If Beale Street Could Talk,
Yes.
which is here.
Green Book was ineligible for score. Top Hat says African Drums and Black Panther. Obviously, Bry Guy brings up Kendrick's All the Stars song. And Diane Warren writing I'll Fight and Stand Up for Something. Muppets in Rio could have been a rematch in 2014 with the Muppets Most Wanted versus Rio 2. That didn't happen, thankfully.
We do need to give Brett McKenzie another Oscar, though.
I totally agree. Poppins is a lock for score nomination. I think that's pretty much true at this point.
I would like to think it's the front runner, but I don't want to jump ahead of myself.
Best actress in a comedy. I hate how they break up comedy and drama. It's so annoying.
I gotta tell you, and given that they didn't put it in best comedy, I'm assuming they're just assuming the Globe's placement, the fact that Blunt's nominated in comedy, because it's like in the first 5 minutes of Mary Poppins, when Ben Wishaw's singing a sad song about his dead wife, it's like, I love this comedy.
The Martian. Always going to be our go-to forever and a day. I'm at the point thinking that this is literally Emily Blunt's award to win, without a question.
Every time I see her next to Coleman, I think otherwise. I don't know.
Is the favorite a comedy, though? I was not under that impression at all.
No, they could go totally random and go with like Constance Wu if they really wanted to. Because remember, I believe these got like really random, like where you would think that the ones that are nominated in the bigger categories are like locks, but they're not. I don't know. This whole show last year was a clusterfuck, so I don't know.
Last year was, let's see, Brad Guy said I was mad I love dogs, missed Oscar shortlist for visual effects, and Brad Guy brings up Get Out. It made art, and Top Hat says it made art direction though, right? Big Sick winning comedy. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they could go to anything. I mean, I think it's probably Blunt versus Coleman at this point, but Elsie Fisher could be a surprise.
I kind of love that Rachel McAdams is here.
A lot of people I know seem to really enjoy Game Night, but again, because of that, thanks Movie Pass, I was unable to see the movie. So, Best Actor in a Comedy, some love for Stan and Ollie, which seems to be like flip flopping this entire award season. Most of the times you don't see it, but then sometimes it just pops up out of nowhere, like Latino Man.
Yeah, like what Ashley brought up last time about Steve Coogan potentially getting in BAFTA instead of Riley is like really possible.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure. Is this that Mortensen Bale battle we were talking about is still going on?
It is.
But like we were saying though, sometimes they don't apparently go for the ones that are obvious in the other categories. So this could be, God forbid, Ryan Reynolds for all we know.
God, I hope not.
Lakeith Stanfield would be an interesting turn.
Honestly, I would not be surprised one bit if they give it to Bateman because of how much they love Game Night.
He's probably the least likely of all those, but I don't know.
You don't think Stanfield's least likely than Bateman at this point?
I don't know. Sorry. Well, I don't know. The thing also is it's like this awards body is so vague as to like who its members exactly are. It's kind of hard to tell. Because initially people our strategy back in the day was to look at the critics awards to decide what would win this, but apparently those bodies aren't even close to the same thing. So though there was 2012 where they did go for Philip Seymour Hoffman in The Master, who was the critic favorite at the time, so it can go either way.
You shall see. Top Hat says Stan and Ollie will probably just get makeup. I can see that nomination happening.
Yeah.
Let's see. We've got Best Comedy. I don't know.
Once again, you've got like the favorite in here, but I'd actually be really surprised if Crazy Rich Asians doesn't win this, even over the favorite. It's like somebody brought up The Big Sick winning. Didn't The Big Sick win over like a much more higher on the radar movie?
Oh yeah.
So yeah, that seems pretty obvious, actually.
Hey, Game Night just looms on the horizon, just looking at the other categories.
It is always nice to see The Death of Stalin mentioned.
Yeah.
Which, looking at, obviously I have not seen The Favorite, but The Death of Stalin should be running away with this very easily.
Here's the weird one, which I think it's pretty obvious, but I'm not sure at this point. Best sci-fi horror film.
If I had to guess, I would say it's probably going to be A Quiet Place, but Hereditary's like right there.
That's the battle at this point, I think.
And the fact that they went with Toni Collette, an actress, I think is this is almost turning into a prediction video.
Almost. I haven't made my predictions yet. Neither of anybody else. Halloween in here is very interesting because I know a lot of people were very split on the movie.
Were they?
A lot of people I know were very split on the movie. They either really liked it or really didn't. Best action movie? The reason that Widows is in here makes me think that might be why they didn't go for it for anything else.
Yeah, Widows has like one, maybe two action scenes, as you probably guessed.
Yeah, I mean, one of them's in the trailer.
You know what's really funny? There are one or two action scenes in Widows, but the heist itself is not one of them.
Random.
The heist in Widows is so underwhelming. It's crazy.
So Bry Guy brings up a point, and then he like destroys his point, basically saying best sci-fi horror or best horror movie because all 5 are not sci-fi movies. And he's like, wait a minute, Annihilation is both sci-fi and horror.
Yes.
And you had Big Sick beat Lady Bird.
Yeah, that's right.
I wasn't happy about that, obviously.
Lady Bird took like a beating that whole night, didn't it?
Yep.
Because I think
my score that night too. I'm very I guess I would let my bias shine through here more ways than one. I'm very happy Ready Player One's in here.
I'm assuming we're all going with the fact that Black Panther's going to run away with that. Like to the point that there might as well not even be other nominees.
If this was the MTV Movie Awards, I think that the Avengers might have a chance. But no, this has to be Black Panther. If anything else wins, I'll be real shocked. Real shocked.
It is crazy awards wise how much Black Panther is like really overshadowing Avengers. I personally probably prefer Avengers slightly, but yeah, whenever it's up against Black Panther awards wise, it doesn't stand a chance.
Let me get to an interesting battle, and that's Best Animated Feature.
It is so incredibly clear the Grinch is here because they ran out of ideas.
Yeah.
It's like, why do they even have 6 slots? They could have just made it 5.
I mean, Mariah might be the movie that slips in as the 5th slot when we actually get to our Oscar predictions, just because it's here and it makes sense. There's always one that just there's one that just doesn't make any sense on paper, but it does make sense when you actually look at it.
But don't forget, we had some. I mean, obviously the breadwinner eventually got in, but we had other foreign possibilities last year. But we ended up with the Boss Baby and Ferdinand instead. That's
true. And there is a overwhelming love for Into the Spider-Verse right now.
Yeah, I'd almost say it's the... I mean, if you look at the critics' ones, it's Spider-Man and Isle of Dogs, with Incredibles 2, like, every now and then.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it happening. I don't know at this point what they're going to do. I think this may be the time that The Incredibles may not win.
Yeah, because a lot of people had it pegged early as a frontrunner, but I don't think that's been the case.
It's not anymore, I don't think. I mean, Into the Spider-Verse came out of absolute nowhere when it comes to its critical love. It's the people, the general public seem to really enjoy it. And
this could be as unpredictable as the year where it was the year the Lego movie got snubbed.
Oh, yeah.
And so everybody said, oh, well, then obviously it's going to be How to Train Your Dragon 2. I mean, that's the next one in line. And then Big Hero 6 ended up winning.
Much better choice anyway. I mean, at this point right now, for me personally, I think that I'd rather see Isle of Dogs win this.
It's not out of the realm of possibility at all.
I mean, Actually,
here it's quite likely.
I think here it actually might happen, but then again, if Incredibles or Into the Spider-Verse win, I think that would be a lot more telling to what's going to actually happen on Oscar Sunday. Because the Annies, are kind of like...
It's a pretty big thing to assume that anything that's going to happen at Critics' Choice is going to have that much of an impact Oscar-wise, but...
I mean, it's the animated category, so anything could really happen at this point. Best visual effects. Again, I'm very happy Ready Player One's in here. First Man's no shock at all. Everything else really seems to make sense.
I'm curious how Black Panther is going to do here, since the effects in like the last third get a lot of criticism.
Really?
Yeah, but just general love for the movie itself may just propel it there in general.
Bry Guy says they could have added Reuben Brandt Collector, another independent animated film like Mirai. Independent, sorry. Remember Brave beating Wreck-It Ralph?
Oh, God.
Yeah. AJ doesn't remember that. Neither do I. Well, that's because not a lot of the animated members of the Academy see all the nominated films, especially Song of the Sea and Princess Kaguya. They went with Big Hero 6 because they went to see it with their kids. I mean, it's a likely statement. Best hair and makeup. Suspiria getting here is interesting.
Did you not hear about the Tilda Swinton thing?
No.
Well, Tilda Swinton plays like what 3 or 4 different characters in it, and one of them is an old man.
Ah.
Yeah, so there's that. Stan and Ollie's missing here, which is a little interesting. Especially since Rhapsody's here for some reason. All the others kind of make sense.
Well, they always never decide if they want to do hair or makeup.
Yeah, I keep forgetting to take hair into account.
Yeah. Academy votes Disney because Disney. Not always. Not when it comes to winners. Especially not in the best animated short category.
That can probably be used to explain Big Hero 6, though.
Yeah. Costume design. Black Panther? Question mark.
Once again, and I mean, I know Bohemian Rhapsody is technically a period movie and everything, but I mean, when you look at the other options, it sticks out.
I mean, yeah, I see what you mean.
But people were throwing Black Panther's name out for costume design at the beginning of the year because I remember a lot of people were saying, like, what if Black Panther's this year's Get Out? What if it can come out in February and get a picture nomination? And everybody's response was, it'll get in costume design.
Yeah, I think Wade Barrett needs to talk to these people, apparently. And me too. Editing. Widows is here. So is First Man.
Yeah, this actually might be another one. We were trying to figure out earlier the tech nominations the First Man's going to get. This one is potentially a good bet also.
Yeah.
I know some people had some issues with some of the editing in A Star Is Born, but the Dave Chappelle scene is like really poorly edited. But I think the fact that it's editing that you can see clearly is going to help it voting wise. Obviously, Vice seems like a sure thing here, given that the Big Short comparisons.
Interestingly enough, Fry Guy says the last non-Disney animated film to win Best Animated Feature at the Oscars was Rango.
Was it?
That can't be right. I must find this out immediately. Rango seems like such a
design. What was that?
Rango seems like such a distant memory after all.
Yeah, it's 7 years old.
Yeah, I know.
We forgot to mention in costume design, it's once again, as usual, Sandy Powell battling herself.
Wow. That's not an incorrect statement. There's not been a non-Disney winner since 2011. Disney Connection. And then before that was Happy Feet in 2006. Interesting. I did not know that. Oscars are aired on ABC, which is a Disney network. Top Hat has a lot of traditional African garb in Black Panther, since there are 5 different tribes in Wakanda. All I know about Black Panther is quite literally what I saw in Avengers. I'll get there eventually, don't worry. Maybe.
We believe you.
Yeah. There's a lot of things and people I will not lie to. Right now I'm not gonna divulge anything moving forward from that. Screenplay is interesting.
We're skipping cinematography and production design.
I mean, oh yeah, I read it wrong.
Because we got to talk about the fact that Crazy Rich Asians is in production design, is it? Which I'm assuming is solely for the wedding scene.
That's why it's here then, is what you're saying?
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of big sets in it, obviously. Like Ken Jeong's dining room, I remember being kind of a big set, but I'm pretty sure the wedding single-handedly got it here. First Man's kind of an interesting choice.
I mean, there's some really grand scenes in the movie.
Yeah, once again, Mary Poppins should probably be running away with this, despite the fact that I haven't seen The Favorite, so I can't judge it. But, yeah, but as I've said many times before, I think with the exception of last year, I'm usually terrible figuring out what's in production design.
Same.
And sometimes we have, like, really obvious snubs. Like, didn't, like, Carol miss in production design when that was, like, the high point of the movie?
Yeah, I remember that. Is it there's guaranteed Sandy? We're talking about Sandy Powell getting a double nom.
Yeah, that's pretty not only likely but pretty normal.
Accurate. Cinematography, like, there's nothing really surprising here.
Yeah, Quarren's been sweeping this. There was a really great moment when they're doing that annoying thing where the Hollywood Reporter releases those roundtables.
Right.
But they're only releasing it in parts. They released the whole thing, like, in January. But there was a moment when they were talking to Quarren, and he was just talking about his process. And Spike Lee just stopped the whole conversation and said, "How did you do the ocean shot? I've never seen a shot like that," and then, like, shook his hand.
That's awesome.
There's a lot of love going Quarren's direction in that particular area. That's why I was wondering, like, the whole idea of, are they going to want to give him cinematography and director is going to be really interesting to see.
Speaking of cinema, let's get to a screenplay.
Well, none of them went with the, how many are here? 6. Yeah, I think you can take First Man and Black Panther out of this as far as Oscars are concerned.
For sure.
Unless First Man ends up overperforming.
It could.
After making a potential comeback in the guilds. But I'm still feeling that it's a little interesting Crazy Rich Asians isn't here for how much they went for it otherwise.
I mean, that could say something about its Oscar hopes, but we have no way of knowing that.
And it's Critics' Choice, don't forget.
Exactly.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see who gets that 5th spot. Because I'm pretty sure, I mean, is anybody doubting Can You Ever Forgive Me If Beale Street Could Talk, A Star Is Born, and Black Klansman at this point?
I mean, I was off the Can You Ever Forgive Me train. Like, I've never been on it, but I mean, it looks like I'm going to probably have to move it in there.
Well, Nicole Holofcener is, like, really overdue for a screenplay nomination at this point. I'm still surprised she didn't get in for Enough Said back in 2013.
I mean, I may have to just take a lot of my spots for anything with Can You Ever Forgive Me at this point, because it seems like it's more in this race than I thought it was.
To say the least.
Yeah. Original screenplay, like Quiet Place getting in here is very interesting.
It's like, I mean, I'm absolutely convinced on my 5 predictions for screenplay. But I mean, A Quiet Place just keeps coming back, and Krasinski's really working, like, the campaigning.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously Blunt gets to do that doubly because she's already out doing all the Mary Poppins stuff, and it keeps coming back up, especially with the SAG nomination. But the question is if A Quiet Place gets in, what's it take out? Because I am so incredibly convinced about the First Reformed thing. Which means, but if A Quiet Place is in 6th, when you look at mine, Bo Burnham is, like, more screwed than we even realized.
He may be completely out of this.
You in for most of the year.
Yeah, I think Burnham might be out of this race completely.
Because I know some people have their doubts about Roma, but I mean, once again, Foreign has always done well in screenplay, but also the movie's going to get so much love already.
Right.
So, yeah. But then again, there could be something like, I think I may have actually been predicting it, but it was still like a really big deal when, this is adapted, but still, when Sorkin missed for Steve Jobs.
Oh, yeah.
Where not only did he seem like a shoo-in, but he had just won the Globe. So something that seems like a certainty could happen, but
let's see. Bright Guy says I'm with those four. Oh my goodness. All the original are basically the 7 fighting for it. Top Hat says I've been on the trains as the first trailer. Bright Guy says with Hawk missing SAG, I don't know. And
I still Hawk is just one of those kind of gut things you have to go with, and for some reason I feel so certain.
Favorites ineligible for WGA. If you read the screenplay for A Quiet Place, it's really unique. Most of it is just pictures of important props that set the scene. Interesting. Best acting ensemble?
Almost entirely different from SAG.
Yeah.
This is kind of what people were expecting at SAG, I think, were these 5.
Probably.
Though it is missing Black Klansman, but I don't know that matters. But they did go with the more obvious choices like Vice and The Favorite.
Nothing about the best young actor or actress?
I mean, it's probably down to Elsie Fisher and Thomasin McKenzie, much as I would love for it to be Millicent Simmons, but Randall Simber might have it. We pretty much went through this.
Yeah. We did earlier in a completely different question in chat. All right. Best supporting actress?
Well, we're missing Margot Robbie, but
Yep.
Once again, I think SAG has much more of a say in what's going to happen than Critics' Choice does. And I still cannot feel this Claire Foy thing. I really can't.
I mean, I've had Gosling since day one, but I mean, I dropped Claire Foy really quick, and now it seems like it's the polar opposite.
It is interesting that Boy Erased does make another appearance here when it did kind of seem to be going in the Destroyer direction, but I think Robbie's SAG nomination kind of made me, because SAG loves Kidman. I'm pretty sure Kidman got a SAG nomination for The Paperboy.
Yeah, she did actually.
So if she was going to get in for Boy Erased over, Blunt or Robbie, if she was really in this, that probably would have happened. So Kidman SAG that makes me think that might be, even though it is, that's kind of what made me say I think I'm going to drop the Kidman thing. And the fact that Robbie's missing here doesn't really sway me away from the fact that I'm probably going to put her in that Kidman spot.
And I literally have to do some digging and try to figure out what I want to do with this, because I'm not completely positive what I want yet. And we've got a week until we're actually doing our last Oscar predictions of 2018. And then next month we get to go through the entire list.
If anything was going to be here from that movie, you know who should be in supporting actress? Is Elizabeth Debicki for Widows.
Yeah, if that was going to happen, it was going to happen here.
So, yeah, but obviously, yeah, they did not want to go in the Widow's direction at all.
But it did get ensemble, though, for some reason.
I said, I'm not sure what it was about it, but just all year I have not been feeling the Widows thing, which seems to be coming to light. So
we'll see what I do.
Obviously, it's worth noting also Regina King is here, which, like I said, I don't think her SAG snub is going to amount to much.
No. I just got to decide what I want to do with the categories. I have to take a long, hard look at all my predictions and be like, yep, I'm going to do this. Best Supporting Actor, everybody's in here, plus Michael B. Jordan.
And it's also Rockwell-less.
Yeah, why is Rockwell not in here anymore?
Yeah, like
Still could happen though. What?
Unless Rockwell wants to come in at the very last minute, I'm just really finding it hard to sway away from those 5. I do think it's interesting because back when people were predicting Michael B. Jordan, I was like really dismissive and saying there was just absolutely nothing in my mind saying that would ever happen. But it is interesting he's made it this far. But I don't think this is gonna mean much.
I mean,
it's gonna take a lot to knock out any of those 5.
Yeah, I think so at this point too. Like I'm looking at my predictions right now, and it's like I still got Kaluuya in there too. So I mean, the only shot he's got at this point is BAFTA. If that doesn't happen, then Widows is dead. But very happy once again to see that Adam Driver is now pretty much solidified at this point.
Don't jinx anything.
I said pretty much.
Because I was really psyched about that SAG nomination, but it's like kind of like the Blunt scenario. I don't want to feel too safe if I want something bad enough.
Very true. Let's see. Bry Guy says they could go with her at BAFTAs because she's British. Besides, Destroyer comes out on Christmas along with Vice on the basis of sex and Holmes and Watson. Yes, I still have Kaluuya. He's got to get out. Yeah, I get it. Mr. Top Hat is now our cheesy comedian of the Popcast Network. Replacing Mr. Entertainment. So, who, by the way, actually did a nice little run-in on our Monday Wrestling Podcast last week. So check that out if you haven't seen it yet, if you're a wrestling fan. It was fun. Had a good time. Best Actress, I mean, Toni Collette's the one that jumps out for me here, but it seems like it's something you probably shouldn't discount at this point. Not going to happen, but I mean, I wouldn't quickly dismiss it.
Yeah, and as I said before, I was I'm still kind of on the Elisa thing, and it's like much like Hawk. I was saying they can both get in with like no visibility whatsoever, but the fact that she has like this, like at least as one thing, surely helps at least a little bit.
I'd say so. I mean, Davis missing here, you pretty much predicted.
So, it is how much momentum Toni Collette keeps getting.
Yeah. Could she be the one that bumps Viola Davis out of the lineup? At least my lineup. We'll see. And then I'll finally go against it and go with everyone else and be like, completely bump Widows out, and that's when you'll get a resurgence for the movie. Always how it happens. It's either pride or points. That's usually what gets me to go with some things I go with and be really stubborn about things. But yeah, I think I may have to just bite the bullet and put McCarthy in the lineup finally.
Still have no idea what was holding you back.
I just didn't see it. Literally and figuratively, I didn't see it. So, Best Actor, Rami Malek is here. Yes, he is. He ain't going anywhere. He'll get in BAFTA. Life will be good.
Obviously, as far as momentum goes, the weirdest omission is John David Washington, but
yeah, same here.
I still think what looks to be his Oscar spot is actually going to be Hawks, but so this doesn't really mean too much to me. But it is, like I said, though, it is still interesting that Willem Dafoe keeps randomly resurfacing.
Well, he's Vincent Van Gogh, so I mean, there's got to be some sort of credence to that role.
And it was nice of somebody to throw Gosling a bone, I guess.
Other than me and my predictions all year, apparently. Do I think he's getting into the Oscar race anymore? Not totally sure. Probably not, but we'll see when I finally make my decision next week. I mean, I'm happy that Cooper and Bale are basically fighting right now. So I mean, I like that war. I think it's going to work really well. Vigo's is in that battle too.
It's exciting how much there's no clear frontrunner and actor.
There isn't at all.
At least that we can tell yet. It's what sucks though is like usually when it looks like the races are going to be super exciting, as soon as like the wins start happening, it gets really boring really fast.
Yep.
It'd be really nice if we could get like 2016 supporting actor kind of races again, where like it's a different person almost every time.
Okay, right now I'm looking at the reception scores for Vice. It has 6.5 out of 10 on IMDb and 68% on Rotten Tomatoes. But Vice is still safe for this race. Vice is fine. Vice is more than fine.
Yeah, some of those critic reactions weren't great, but it's already made its dent. So,
speaking of that, Best Director.
It's so weird. He keeps coming back. I really don't think this Peter Farrelly thing is going anywhere.
I like the fact Chazelle's in here.
Yeah, because like I was saying before, Peter Farrelly seems like an obvious choice because there's going to be love for Green Book, but the Academy hasn't quite been getting enough credit for just how creative they get in the director category these days.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, some people still throw stuff out there like Morton Tildum getting in for The Imitation Game, but I still think with the other options they could have gone with, he's a little bit out there.
Yeah.
I don't really feel like there's we'll just do this for the sake of it because we like the movie. Director nominations don't happen that much.
No. I mean, Black Panther missing here is kind of a telling too. Especially with all the love it's getting across the boards.
Yeah, Coogler's doing the rounds. Like, he's at the director roundtable and everything, but that's something I never really envisioned happening. Like, it's something that really I didn't even think about happening until people, like, recently started bringing it up. But I don't... Yeah. I think the only thing... Well, obviously, I'm also going for that. I'm on board that whole Schrader will come in out of nowhere thing, which this obviously doesn't help me with, but I guess we'll see what happens with that.
I'm still not sure about Yorgos at this point. It could go either way.
I am. maybe I'm too confident, but I feel good about it.
I have to really pay attention.
The person that seems really on that fence of totally could but totally couldn't is Chazelle.
Yeah. It depends on how much they really go for First Man, though.
Yeah, because my thought process for a while was the moon scene alone had him in. But... Yeah, then there's always I'm still not sold on McKay getting in, but he's very much a possibility that's like always hanging out there.
There's a lot of comedic directors that are going to get into Best Director this year, it looks like.
Yeah, just looking at Adam McKay and Peter Farrelly without even thinking about it. Or Bradley Cooper, for that matter, if you want to go back to, like, 2005.
Yeah. And then we get to Best Picture.
Oh, yeah, you know who, to me anyway, you know who is a glaring omission from director that should totally be here.
Who's that?
Rob Marshall.
Yeah.
Which occurs to me seeing Poppins in picture.
Yeah, it's weird that's not here.
Whatever floats their boat, I suppose.
And picture is not much of a surprise for the most part, other than the fact that
Is there anything blatant missing?
Well, for me, it's Bohemian Rhapsody, but I mean, I can understand be it the critics' choice.
Because prediction-wise, I've been talking about Can You Ever Forgive Me, but that's mainly because it's got a shitload of acclaim and I needed a ninth slot. It's never an idea I've been quite married to yet.
I mean, I've had Bohemian Rhapsody since day one, so I mean, that's the only thing missing for me.
Obviously, Critics' Choice isn't as strong as a Guild or anything, but First Man really needed this turnout.
Big time. Big time.
This could potentially be the start of its very slow comeback. Then, like I said, if it just gets in at PGA, it'll be fine. Sort of like how I had to keep making the argument in 2015 that Bridge of Spies wasn't dead, and then once it got on PGA, it went just fine. Even ended up with the Rylance win.
Jenkins missed again. Bry Guy says favorite has 14 nominations here. He says, I don't know. 14.
I don't know why I keep forgetting about Barry Jenkins.
Yeah, I know. I've got him in my lineup still, so.
Yeah, because I really feel like he's somebody I should not be forgetting, but there's a lot of choices here.
It depends on how much they like the movie.
And
if that Regina King one's going to happen or not.
This is like way too vague because I'm only basing this on a couple of stills I've seen, but I was wondering if, I think I mentioned this plenty of times before, but Jenkins having the same problem as Adam McKay, where people are saying, like, aesthetically, Vice is a little too close to looking like The Big Short. I wasn't sure if Beale Street Could Talk looks a little too much like Moonlight.
Maybe.
And that's why he's not, like, as prominent as he could be. But I don't know. It is weird that Peter Farrelly are getting in over the likes of Barry Jenkins.
Braga says, I don't know if I'm right here, but if it does happen at the Oscars, is Cooper going to be the first person to get nominated for directing and acting for the same film?
Oh, no. Like, Kenneth Branagh's done it.
Top Hat brings that up, too, actually.
Olivier's done it.
The first in this century.
Potentially.
More an accurate statement. So, get ready, because time to be announced. We're setting up for New Year's Eve, December 30th, for our next Golden Globe prediction podcast. So, award season and wrestling go like hand in hand, and I hate it. It drives me insane. Literally and figuratively, the day of the Oscars, April and I are running the Princess Half Marathon that morning. So it's going to be very interesting to see me on camera that day. So, we'll be deep into the beginning of Mardi Gras by that time, too. So if that matters, I guess we'll see what happens. So I think that's going to be your show tonight. Ashley joined us for a little bit. He had to bomb out. You'll see him again on Monday for the Monday Wrestling Popcast. Follow him on Twitter at AshIsMyNameUK. And more snack stashes are coming in the future. Gaming with Ash will probably return after the first of the year, if not beforehand. And AJ cannot be found on social media. So you can actually leave him a comment if you'd like to, at the bottom of this video, or you can just send a personal message and I'll make sure it gets to him. He'll respond. And follow me on Twitter at Siro and Disney. And if you want to follow the network as a whole, it's at Popcast Network. So once again, I want to thank everyone for joining us tonight. AJ, thank you for joining us on a interesting Saturday morning. How cold is it right now with you? Where are you right now?
I don't know, 30s or 40s or something.
Yeah, it's about 57 degrees right now. It's kind of chilly. We've been in the 40s like in the super mornings, and tomorrow when I run in the morning, it's going to be super cold, so that's going to be a fun day. So yeah, once again, that's going to be your show. I want to thank everyone for joining us live or in archive. And until tomorrow, boys and girls, that's all we got to say about that.